What's up, guys? Welcome to a brand new podcast called Comment8. I'm your host, Dylan Mathiot, and this is my first ever episode of Comment8, which, like I said, new podcast. And this is my first foray into the podcasting world. I just got a brand new mic, so I thought while I'm in quarantine, might as well do that. And if you don't know sorry about that. If you don't know who I am, I make YouTube videos, but it's not for a living. So, I do make YouTube videos on my channel called Number 8 Entertainment. It's Number 8, like the actual number not written out, and then Entertainment. So like all one string of words. So yeah, if you want to check out my YouTube channel, I'm also going to post this podcast on there as like a video form, except I'm not showing my face. It's just going to be like a little thing, just a background with my voice. So yeah, this is my idea of passing the time, and this first episode is going to be all about karaoke, as the title of the episode suggests. So yeah, karaoke has been a big part of my life recently in the last like 2 years or so, and it kind of sucks that I'm not able to go out, but you got to do what you got to do, because if you don't do what you do, we might not go out for a while again. So I'm just gonna keep staying in as much as possible, going to work only when I need to, and only going out when I need to as well. So yeah, let's start with the origin of my anxiety as a kid, being in front of people in general, which it will lead up to karaoke, don't worry. But yeah, basically, I was super anxious to be in front of people as a kid growing up, even up until I was in high school, especially in elementary school. Like for example, there was a story that I wrote that was, I guess, good enough when I was in third grade for them to pick me to read in front of the entire school. And I think it was called The Apple Tree, and it was something about a magic apple tree. But yeah, also there was in fifth grade, where my friends and I, at least it wasn't just me, it was my friends and I, decided to do a Christmas rap. I know, kind of cringy, but like we used to, we used to enjoy like Christmassy. I don't know. We wanted to actually like be kind of festive, but like cool in air quotes at the same time. So what we did was we saw a Christmas rap in a book that we were just like reading in the classroom, and we decided to ask our teacher, Mrs. Martin, if she could like hook us up with like the school Christmas assembly. And apparently she did so, and I was terrified to do that, even with like 3 of my close friends up there with me, because it was like in front of the entire school. You don't understand how anxious I get at this shit. But anyway, then also in the spelling bee that I was in 4th grade, it was the district elementary school spelling bee, so all the elementary schools in the district. Sorry about that. Ooh, that was kind of unprofessional, but it's a fucking podcast. Who cares? I'm not a professional at this. Anyway, the spelling bee in 4th grade, I came in 4th place, surprisingly, out of everyone in the 7 elementary schools in my school district. But my last word that I got out on was acres. I spelled it ACERS, like acers, instead of ACRES. And at that point, the adrenaline from me being so like hyper nervous started to like leak out of me and stuff like that. Sort of like it was just like I was coming down from a high or something, and it was just like, whoa. I started like, when I got down to the seats, I started shaking, and I was kind of like half crying, like, holy shit, guys. But fortunately, there was like some nice kid next to me. It's like, you did great, man. So I I was pretty damn nervous. And another thing, it wasn't in front of like specifically like a group of people, but this was like even if I would go up to a girl that I liked in elementary school and like if she talked to me or if I talked to her, I could not help but blush. So this was another thing about my fucking anxious ass. Yeah. So, but then we go through middle school and then we get to high school and still kind of nervous, even singing or doing anything, talking in front of people. And then we get to my senior year, 12th grade, where on a whim I decided to enter for the talent show at my school because, as you guys probably don't know, uh, I love to sing, and I've been told by my family members and my close friends that I am good at singing, and I feel like I am. I'm not trying to be like cocky or anything, but I think that I am a good singer. But anyway, so in 12th grade, basically what I did was, like I said, on a whim, I went to the office it was during homeroom, I think. Homeroom in my school, at least. I don't know if it is in yours, but like homeroom in my high school was like, it was the time where it was like study hall. So yeah, we called it homeroom. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, I did that. I was like, hey, can I go to the office real quick to get something to get the audition filler outer thing, the audition paper? And he was like, sure. So I did that. And once I sent it back to the office, I looked at myself. Well, I looked at my hands. I was like, dude, did I just actually do that? Did I write down all my info and be like, dude, you're fucking crazy. Yeah. So, yeah, the day of the audition came, and my mom drove me there because in 12th grade I was a fucking loser, and I didn't have my license then. I honestly didn't get my license until I absolutely needed to when I got a job after I graduated. Like, I got my license when I was almost like a month before I turned 19. But anyway, my mom drove me to the school. It was a judge of the student council and then like 3 teachers or something like that. 3 student council members and 3 teachers. And yeah, that was one of the most nerve-wracking things, was driving there and then being like, hearing my name be called. And yeah, that was fucking nuts, dude. So, and these kids were like the popular kids. I was definitely not one of them, but at the same time, I also wasn't like bullied really at all, because I had a group of friends that were chill. We weren't part of like any clique, but like none of the other cliques that were there made fun of us at all, so it was kind of weird. So like I was in that middle ground where it was like only my friends really kind of like cared about me and no one else bothered with me. So whatever. I was just kind of like a wallflower per se, I guess. Anyway, yeah, I was very, very extremely nervous to sing in front of these people, and it was just me and my acoustic guitar. Rest in peace. It died last year. I was transporting it in my car, and for some reason, it cracked right down the fucking middle. And yeah, I now have a new one. It pretty much looks the same as my old one, but it's a newer model. It was around the same price as well, if I remember. But I did have that old guitar for like almost 10 years, so she lasted me pretty long. Anyway, so during the audition, I was just like, let's just get through this shit. Let's get through this shit. Let's get through this shit. So I did a quicker rendition than what I probably should have. So I was like, I think I just screwed up because I went too quick. And by the way, I sang Green Day's Good Riddance, because it's a pretty easy song to play on guitar and sing at the same time, at least for me. And I had only been playing guitar for like 2 years at that point, so I didn't have all the nuances down with like the finger picking and stuff, so I just kind of strummed. But obviously, it must have been good enough, because at lunch one day, instead of me actually like going up to check, because I was about to go after I was done eating, go check on the there was like a board in the lunchroom showing where who made it into the talent show. And instead of doing that, one of the judges, she was actually in my grade. She was on the student council. She came up to our table. I mean, it's not like she didn't know me, but like we weren't necessarily friends. But she came up to me and was like, "Dylan, I have good news for you." And I was like, "What? What did I? What?" And then it kind of clicked in my head right before she said it. And yeah, of course, I got into the talent show, and there was just a flood of relief and like almost like an endorphin high, and it validated that I could at least sing decently enough to get into a high school talent show. So yeah, we practiced many times before the day of the show. So I got progressively more comfortable being in front of at least some people, which were the only people that were in the talent show, and then the people who set it up and stuff like that. So yeah, I was picked to be actually in the preview of the show, which is like during school hours, the kids would actually, during the homeroom time, the study hall time, there would be like 3 groups of kids that would actually go into the auditorium and watch a preview of the talent show to maybe entice them to come to the actual thing after school that day. And yeah, that went pretty well. And it was great because I felt like honored that they chose me as one of the people to like represent the talent show to the kids who might not be thinking about going, and they might go. So yeah, so it seemed like a breeze even compared to the audition, just because of how many times we practiced between that time and the actual day of the show. And one of my friends, this is kind of fucking dumb as shit, but like it kind of made me laugh a little bit, even though I was kind of uncomfortable with the joke. He was just like, like one of my friends joked that he almost slipped in something wet right in front of where some girls were sitting, like referencing them, just like he was saying they were like, "Oh, Dylan." But yeah, it was and then even a few people I didn't even know that were in like different grades than me came up to me afterward and said I did a good job, giving me like a high I've never felt before. Like I've never done drugs or anything like that, and this just like like I wanted to feel that again. It was like I know it sounds like I have like a big head after that, but like you got to understand, I've never felt like that before because I've always been like a shy kid, and it was just yeah, I wanted to feel that so much again. And the talent show was a great success. I didn't mess up at all. I probably could have done better nowadays, but yeah, like I said, I've been playing guitar since like 10th grade, so like almost 10 years now. And yeah, I definitely could do better than like 8 years ago. So yeah, and then from then on, I wanted to, yeah, you know, I really wanted to chase that high of people complimenting my singing, but I would have to wait. Oh, sorry, my voice just cracked there. I'm not in high school anymore. Just because I'm talking about it doesn't mean my voice has to fucking crack. I'm 25, goddammit. Anyway, from then on, I wanted to chase that high, but I would have to wait a few years till I could go out to bars and do karaoke. See, I told you, it would lead to karaoke eventually. You would slowly probably notice that because I started talking about singing, and chasing a high as singing in front of people. So yeah, and little did I know, it would become one of my greatest hobbies, giving me confidence, new friends, and basically a sense of purpose, I would say. It sounds kind of dark when I say it that way. It's like, I have no purpose, but karaoke brought it back from the dead. Anyway, so yeah, the first thing, I first actually started doing karaoke in the spring of 2018. So I was actually 23. So it was 2 years after I turned 21. And it was around then when my mom and her boyfriend invited me to go out to drink at a bar called Villanova West in the city that I live in. It's kind of in the outskirts, but it's kind of close to where I grew up, because I grew up on like right on the edge of the city. So yeah. Anyway, this bar is pretty decent. It has pretty decent food, and yeah, there was a karaoke night going on, and I didn't know about it, so I was like, fuck it, let's do it, man. I barely had any songs in mind and was initially nervous just because it's been years since I actually sang in front of people. It honestly, like I said, it was 2018, so it was 5 years since I was in 12th grade and did the talent show. So I was kind of unseasoned again, so I kind of just like was nervous again. I don't know how else you would say that. But it was definitely the start of something beautiful. I know it sounds kind of sappy and cliche, but it's true. Since then, I've improved in not only my stage presence and confidence, but in my actual vocals too. I feel like that since I've been doing karaoke at least once or twice a week since then, well, at least until quarantine hit, that like my voice has been seasoned. Like I've practiced a lot of different songs. I've tried a lot of different genres and found my happy medium, which songs that I can do well, and some songs that I was surprised that I could do well. But anyway, after I got done with my first song at Villanova, I felt that same high from the school talent show, and I've never looked back since then. Villanova West, this place will always have a special place in my heart, being the place where I lost my karaoke virginity. So yeah, that was just a great experience, and every time I go out to karaoke, it just gives me that same feeling, especially when it's new people that have never heard me sing before, and they like people I've never talked to just come up and compliment me. It's just, I need that validation sometimes when I'm feeling down, you know? And that brings me to the time where I actually met one of my best karaoke friends, and just one of my good friends in general. He's like around my mom's age, but at the same time, it's like, dude, we're both adults. We both like to drink. We both like to sing. And he was a karaoke buff starting around the same time I did, and he also went to Villanova West because he actually works there sometimes as a bartender. Eventually, there we go again. Yeah, I met one of my best karaoke friends. His name was Ron. His name is Ron. He's not dead, I swear. After a few times of going to Villanova West and another bar on Thursdays, which is called Hurricane, that's in Columbia, Pennsylvania, which is like maybe like 15, 20 minutes west of where I lived. Yeah, Ron invited me to go to a bar in downtown Lancaster, Pennsylvania, which is the city I live in. And it's called Altana Rooftop Lounge, I think. Yeah, Altana Rooftop Lounge, which I knew of, and it kind of sounded like a hoity-toity, like judgmental place. So I was like very skeptical, and I was like, I kind of like going to Hurricane on Thursdays, but I went because Ron said it's a good time, and you got to sing on the fucking rooftop. And that intrigued me, because that means people down on the street, right in the center of the city, would be able to hear me sing. And being on a rooftop bar, that's pretty cool. So yeah, I did go up there, and I met Joey, he's now a good friend and probably one of the best bartenders in Lancaster that I've ever had the pleasure of meeting. And DJ Sid, who is the DJ, the karaoke jockey, I guess you can call him the KJ, at Altana and several other places as well, because he owns his own company that does trivia and karaoke. Thirsty for Knowledge Trivia on Facebook. Go check it out, and yeah, tell Sid I sent you if you do. So anyway, it was just, it's just a cool place to drink and socialize. Yeah, it was, like, obviously I was kind of nervous a little bit. At that point, I'd already been doing karaoke for a while, but I was a little bit nervous because it was a new spot. And I didn't know Joey. I didn't know Sid. I only knew Ron. That was the only person who was there. But he kind of gives me like a little more comfort because I knew him. So, yeah. And he said Joey was a good guy. And so was Sid. So, yeah. Yeah, Sid became my favorite DJ. Joey became my favorite bartender. And Altana became my favorite place to do karaoke. Even though Villanova was my first, I prefer Altana. I'm sorry, but it's just a really cool place to do karaoke. Anyway, and to this day, Joey still even knows exactly what my usual is at the bar. I start out with a trash can and then usually go to Yingling Lager throughout the rest of the night with some variations, if it's a celebration like my birthday or someone else's birthday where we get shots or even another trash can. Those are rare nights where I'm like feeling a little bit crazy. Yeah, and Altana along with Villanova West are still two of my favorite spots to sing karaoke. And since then, I've made countless acquaintances and a few good friends that I'm still friends with today. And I'm super excited to get back into it once all the restrictions have been lifted in my county for this fucking quarantine shit. I'm just going to go with what they do. I'm not going to just like rebel against the man or anything like that, like some people are. But if they open, they open. And I will be cautious once they first open. But I'm excited to get back to it. Now, some crazy... This is the fun part where I talk about some fucking nuts. Some crazy experiences. I was going to say nuts experiences, but that didn't sound right. Nutso experiences, maybe. But yeah, some crazy experiences that have happened with not only things that have happened when Ron and I were out, but just like in general of like, I guess, older women hitting on me. Like, it's kind of a theme. It's weird. So the first thing, it's not older women. It was actually girls probably around my age. A couple girls came up to me at another Thursday spot. It's called Yorgos, and that's like just across the square from Altana. So after I sang one of my songs, one of them just came up and hugged me, saying I did a great job. That kind of threw me off guard because like no girls ever really come up to me before and just been like, hey, you're cool. Because like, I don't know if I radiate some sort of energy or if I'm just fucking ugly. But anyway, yeah, she came up and said I did a great job, and she proceeded to just grab my shirt and smell it. It was weird, and asked the other girl to come over and smell it, saying that I smelled great. And I was like, thanks. This is weird. I mean, I kind of thought they were attractive, so I was like, okay, cool. That's pretty cool, man. There was also another time where Ron and I went back to his place one night with a girl that we met at karaoke, and we all kept drinking until we just all passed out sitting on Ron's couch. And then the next morning I had to go to work, and Ron asked if I wanted a ride, and I was like, sure. I didn't want to take an Uber if you were offering a ride, man. And it was snowing that night or that morning, so it was like the roads were a little bit slick. So yeah, I was fucking hungover as shit that day. Work sucked. Anyway, there was another one. Let's see here. I'm trying to think. I have a list here. I was on the rooftop at Altana in the summer of last year, and this woman who was almost my mom's age was fighting with the guy she was with, and then he decided to leave because she was being kind of unreasonable. I could hear their argument, and he definitely was a little more less drunk and more reasonable, like I said, than she was. And she came up behind me. It was weird, and then massaged my shoulders a little bit, saying something I couldn't really understand because she was completely shit-faced. And she proceeded to randomly go to other guys like DJ Sid and my friend Noah and just like say random shit as well. And then she asked the bartender Joey, who owned the place, and he was like, I don't know. And then she was like, well, I'm going to own this place someday. and she had a thick Southern accent because from what I gathered from her loud conversation with the guy, she was from Texas. And I was like, bitch, you're not going to own this place. You don't even live here. But yeah, she just kind of sat on one of the couches that was on the rooftop and just like listened to people singing. And then she eventually just walked out. It was fucking strange. Yeah. And then kind of more recently, maybe like a couple months ago, near the beginning of the year or the end of last year, a girl that she's a little bit older than me, maybe like 7 years older than me, like 32, I think. A girl that is kind of a friend of mine now, even though we haven't hung out too much, was at Villanova West with one of her guy friends. And after hearing me and Ron sing, she started talking to me first and then started getting kind of flirty and sexual until just straight up asking me if I would sleep with her, like if I thought she was hot. Like, it's like, would you fuck me? I'm like, I kind of just nodded. I was like, I'm not saying okay, she is attractive, like, but this is, like, I'm not used to people coming on to me, coming on that strong, let alone. But yeah, now she was texting Ron after that because we all got her Snapchat or whatever, and also one of my other friends, Demir, was there. I met him at karaoke. He's from Turkey. He's pretty cool. But she was hitting on him too, and and she texted Ron saying like, I'm not normally like that. It was just the alcohol. And to be fair, there was a lot of alcohol drunk that night. Someone was drunk that night, and that was all of us. But like the guy friend she was with, he bought shots like 3 times for the entire bar, and his bar tab was like $400. But what was really cool is like this guy must either be loaded or he was just feeling really generous that night. He gave Carrie, the bartender, a $150 tip on the $400 bar tab that he had. So shout out to that guy. His name's Jason, I think. But anyway, yeah, she was just like, and then she kind of just ended up with Jason by the end of the night because none of us were like kind of just into it at that point. But yeah, and she's kind of just been a good friend ever since then. And once this quarantine shit's over, maybe we can all hang out again. Anyway, yeah. And the strange thing is that like almost all the women that have hit on me have been older than me, at least by 5 years or more. I'm not saying I wouldn't go for a woman who's, I would say my max is probably like 35, like 10 years older than me. So like, but that one woman that was like 45 or something like that, closer to my mom's age, no thanks. Yeah. Excuse me. And another, it wasn't like super crazy, but it was kind of like, it was funny as shit. It was my 25th birthday back in January of this year, and it just so happened that it was on a Thursday when Altana Karaoke was going on. Some of my friends surprised me by showing up. Like, it was that group. It was her name's Natalie. It was Demir and Natalie's one friend Tom, and then and Ron obviously was going to show up anyway, so he was already there before they all showed up, and he was trying not to tell me. He told Joey, the bartender, but he didn't tell Joey not to tell me that they were coming, because I texted Demir asking if he was coming out, and he said no. And Ron texted Joey saying they were all coming out to surprise me for my birthday. And yeah, Joey told me. So before Ron even got there, I was like, so who are the 4 friends or the 3 friends that you're bringing with that are coming? And he's like, Joey, what the fuck did you tell him? And Joey was like, I didn't know, man. Yeah, so I was kind of surprised, but not at the same time. I was just like, oh, you guys are real homies, man. And there weren't a lot of other people that showed up that night, so it was kind of just us all singing karaoke and drinking and getting fucking shit-faced, I tell you. Yeah, and at one point, I was so fucked up that I was swaying and leaning on a chair while singing. But the funny thing is, the next week, I was talking to Sid, and he was like, man, you were actually singing better than you ever have before, which seems weird, but then I realized it's probably because my vocals were more relaxed, and I could just, like, belt the fuck out. I think that's how the phrase goes. I could just belt. And that surprised me when they said that I actually sang better when I was like shit faced. And also that same night, Ron bought me a shot close to the end of the night that it was so fucking gross. I think it was called the Four Horsemen shot. If you know what that is, I feel sorry for you if you don't like it and you've had one. I almost immediately had to fucking puke. I barely made it to the bathroom door when I let a little out onto the door and the floor inside the bathroom before finishing in the toilet. I was like drunkenly apologizing to Joey while he cleaned it up, and I kept offering to clean it myself because I was just like, I felt so goddamn bad that I threw up on the floor and the door of the bathroom, but you know, he was cool about it. So Joey's a fucking G, man. Like I'll ride or die for that dude. There was another time where I sang Candy Girl by New Edition. All you 80s music fans, if you know that song, it has a lot of fucking high notes because they're like kind of like Discount Jackson 5, I would say, where like the little kid is like the main singer and he has a high ass voice. But I sang that song, and I guess I sang it so well that it blew the people's minds that I could even sing that high of notes that well. Like DJ Sid was looking at me like, now that was some good shit. Like he normally doesn't give, like Joey the bartender, he has this phrase that, and I even say it a lot of the times just because Joey does it. He's like, good shit, whenever anyone finishes a song, even if it's not good, just because he's, you know, a nice guy. And Sid barely ever gives out good shits, but like when he heard that, he was like, now that was good shit. But yeah, that's going to be one of my staples from now on, because I've sang in a couple places, and there was one time at Villanova West that my mom was like, I heard a recording because Ron recorded me, and it was like a Facebook Live thing, so the quality was shit. But my mom heard me in the video, and she's like, it just kind of sounded like you were screaming. And then I was like, don't worry, once you hear it, you'll change your mind. And I did, and I changed her mind. So even then, my mom like was like, wow, you were fucking right. So yeah, that's going to be one to sing almost every time I go out, especially if I go out to someplace new, because I will just blow people's minds with that, because I can sing damn high. Like, I have a pretty good range. Like, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I do. And yeah. So now this next one is one that's not only fucking crazy, but still haunts me to this day, because it's just incredibly sad. When I was at Villanova West on a Wednesday night, there's a bar called the Belvedere Inn that Sid DJ karaoke jockeys at, and it's Wednesday nights. It's called the Belvedere Inn, and it's in downtown Lancaster, not too far from the other bars. And that Wednesday night, fucking Green Day came into the Belvedere and sang karaoke and listened to people sing karaoke and clapped for people singing karaoke. And to this day, I will always regret not deciding to go. This is all my fault, so I'm not saying it's my mom's fault, but I was going to actually go to the Belvedere that night until my mom texted me asking me if I was going to go out. And she doesn't like going downtown. She only likes going to Villanova West. So I said yes, and we went to Villanova West. And Sid didn't have the time because he was like, it was too fucking crazy. He didn't have the time to actually text anyone. So he didn't text me saying, hey, Dylan, get the fuck over here. So I'm not blaming him either. It's just all me. It's all fate. Just being like, hey, Dylan, we don't want you singing in front of Green Day. And I still, even to this day, it's one of my biggest regrets, just that one decision. And the reason Green Day was in town that day was because it was Billie Joe Armstrong's 48th birthday, I think. And they were at Decades, which is like a bowling/arcade/bar place that just opened up in Lancaster. They had it reserved for like months ahead of time because I think they were going to be in Lidditz. There's a place called Rock Lidditz. Clare Brothers. It's like slightly north of Lancaster, and they have this place where they help set up venues and stuff for like big concerts and stadium tours and shit. And I guess they were in the area doing their Hella Mega Tour thing because they were coming to Hershey. I don't know if they still are at this point. I think it's in August, so it's possible that they won't be able to. But if they still do, yeah, that's pretty sick. There we go again. Every time I burp, you guys take a shot. Okay, that's 3 so far. So you might be feeling a little toasty at this point. So yeah, they were in town that day, and someone there recommended to go to the Belvedere for the after party karaoke, and they did so. Sid fucking gushed. Sid is not like a young dude like me. He's like my dad's age, like 54 or something like that. But he loves Green Day just as much as I do, and holy shit. It was just, Billy Joe Armstrong clapping for you, and Trey Cool clapping for you. And Trey Cool was like Sid's best friend that night. And I'm extremely jealous, but like happy for Sid that his karaoke jockeying has like kind of almost paid off, Like I feel like that moment for him was like nothing's gonna top it unless another band like Rush, like someone like Geddy Lee shows up, because that's his absolute favorite band, and I would freak the fuck out. So yeah, let's talk about some go-to songs for my karaokeing. The main songs are anything Red Hot Chili Peppers, mainly Under the Bridge. That's like usually either my first song or one of my last songs, but I always do it at some point in the set. Like I do treat it kind of like a concert, except that I'm not still very good at doing showmanship, like showing, like rocking the fuck out unless I'm like super drunk or something like that. Then I'll really get into it, because I don't want to feel like I'm like trying to be like a rock star in front of people and stuff like that. I just want to sing. If it was actually a concert where I was like in a band, then that might be different, where I'm actually trying to rock the fuck out and like put on a show. But I feel like I could do a little bit more of that, because some people do that. But it's just like kind of not me. Anyway, yeah. Candy Girl is now a staple, like I said. If You Leave Me Now by Chicago, a great song. 1979 by the Smashing Pumpkins. And if I'm really drunk, Killing in the Name by Rage Against the Machine. It's not really a sing song, but if I'm like fucked up and I feel amped up, I'll do that song, because people get fucking pumped up, man. And another one of my ones that I haven't sang actually in a while is Lately by Stevie Wonder. My mom turned me onto that song when I was a kid, because she would listen to all that stuff. And that's one of my songs that people say I do the best. So yeah, and that's what I did audition for American Idol, and I used that song in the audition. That's for another episode of the podcast in the future. I actually didn't have that written down on my episode list and stuff like that, so I will definitely add that, my American Idol audition experience. So basically, like, in general, karaoke has like shaped my social life in such a positive way in the last 2 years, that like not being able to do karaoke has been like almost crippling my social life, man. Like, the only people I interact with are I'll interact with my coworkers pretty much, and my grandmother and my grandfather, and sometimes my mom and my 2 siblings and my brother and my he's not older, but like he's younger than me, but he's the oldest brother I have, because he works with me as well, so I'll see him there. I mean, I love the people I work with. Like, it's great. Like, this is probably my favorite group of people that I've ever worked with. And but like, I want to see my friends from karaoke again, man. Like, it's killing me inside. But if we just keep doing what we're doing, I feel like we can get through this shit. And by the summertime, like late summertime, I feel like we can, especially in my area where there's not a ton of people. We have like 60,000 people that live in the city, and 500,000 people live in my county. And as long as we can get that number down enough, we can do this, man. I know some of what's really fucked up. I'll talk about coronavirus in another podcast episode, which I actually have that list. But like, yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that. So now this is the part where I shout out some of my favorite spots and what day and time, once the quarantine is fully over, that you guys might be able to reach me, see me there, and sing with me. So if you're in the area ever, on Wednesdays, obviously I said Villanova West with DJ Babes, 2833 Columbia Avenue, Lancaster, Pennsylvania. The Belvedere Inn with DJ Sid at 402 North Queen Street in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Those are the two main places I go on Wednesdays. And then on Thursdays, Altana Rooftop Lounge with DJ Sid again. That's 26 East King Street in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And then also on Thursdays, I mentioned Yorgo's Restaurant and Lounge with DJ Bob. He's a pretty cool guy. Anytime we go in there, he's always like, he has this really deep voice. It's like, "Hi, guys. We're looking for Dylan." Like, that's how he sounds when he's like announcing people for karaoke. And anytime we come in there, he hugs us, me and Ron, and he's like, "I'm glad you guys could show up." Oh. And like he looked at because my mom and her boyfriend kind of know him from the club that they're part of, and Bob was telling them that like I'm like one of the only people he actually likes at karaoke, along with Ron. So I'm like, I feel kind of flattered. So that's yeah. But anyway, yeah, Yorgo's is located at 66 North Queen Street in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. So those are the main places. And yeah, so this is pretty close to the end of my podcast. Don't leave yet because I have some things. That a reminder to just go to my YouTube channel. It's Number 8 Entertainment on YouTube, all one word. The 8 is a number. And then I also have a Patreon if you guys want to support the podcast / my YouTube channel. It's just my endeavors online in general. It's at www.patreon.com/number8entertainment. And I thank you guys for listening to my first ever episode of the Comment8, and that I will try to have at least one podcast up a week, either on Wednesdays or Thursdays, depending on which day this one is uploaded, because it'll probably end up being uploaded next Wednesday or next Thursday, because I want to like fine tune everything. And yeah. So I will see you guys in the next episode, where I already set up like the next episode. So yeah, I will see you in the next episode where I talk about my schooling experiences. And then there's actually going to be a question, or no, not a question. I'm going to ask you guys to ask me questions on my Twitter at Number 8ent. And so no entertainment, it's Number 8ent. My Facebook is Number 8 Entertainment, and also in the comments section of the YouTube video version of this, ask me some questions about schooling. I didn't go to college, but you can ask me questions about anything below that. So yeah, and I will answer them at the beginning of the next episode. So yeah, I will see you guys in the next one.